Hey, this is C&D channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my post-fight analysis for UFC on Fox 2, Evans versus Davis. The main card overall, honestly, wasn't that great. I like Sonnen versus Bisbang. Maya versus Weidman kind of stunk up the joint. Davis versus Evans was just alright at best. I think there's some stylistic things here. Out of the 6 fighters, 4 of them are primarily wrestlers. Bisbing's really the only primary striker in the group, and even then he's not like a one punch knockout type of guy. Maya's more of a jiu-jitsu guy, even though he didn't really show it. Except for getting back to his feet. But otherwise, stylistically these weren't the best matchups. It seems like on UFC on Fox, it's like when you had Cain Velasquez versus Junior Santos, it was too fast. And this one, it's too drawn out. You know what I mean? I'm thinking more for the casual fan. I'm kind of thinking what they're thinking. It was an interesting night of fights. Some cool things came out of this. LeVar Johnson, in his first UFC fight, had earned knockout of the night over Joey Beltran. Those uppercuts are vicious. He pretty much knocked him out standing. Charles Olivia with his calf cutter, or calf slicer, picked up submission of the night. And Dunham versus Lentz earned fight of the night as well. Okay, let's get right to it. Sugar Rashad Evans beat Mr. Wonderful Phil Davis by unanimous decision. He won every round. As far as picks go, before I get into that, picks go, I missed 3, so I did pretty well. I predicted Evans to win this. He's way more experienced. Phil Davis, it's just too much too soon for him to fight a guy like Rashad Evans. He just doesn't put things together very well. The other thing I noticed about him too is he doesn't commit to a lot of his offense very well. It's he'll throw a right hand and he won't go all the way. He'll pull it back because he's worried about the counter. It's he doesn't know if he's striking or wrestling. I like the guy a lot. I think there's a lot of potential with him, but he just doesn't put it all together well. He's still relatively, he's really new to MMA, very inexperienced, and it really showed. With Evans, it's a good performance from him here. He managed to take down Davis, get dominant positions from top control, get mounted crucifixes, outboxed him. How I think he'll do against John Jones, though, it's tough to say. This definitely wasn't the fight that's oh man, Evans is really going to give John Jones a lot of problems. This isn't the fight that showed that. If anything, this fight kind of shows me that John Jones would beat Rashad Evans even more so than I thought before. Very unusual that it's at UFC 145, just because. I think 143 and 44 is going to happen in February. 145 is on March. The turnaround's not much of a turnaround, to be honest, for Rashad Evans. So, we'll see how he goes. Something's wrong with my right eye. It's kind of weird. And we'll see how it goes, though. I think Rashad Evans at this point is probably the biggest threat to John Jones. You can say maybe Henderson, but I just have a really hard time believing that he'd get an H-bomb on Jones. We'll see how that fight goes. With Phil Davis, this guy, he needs... he doesn't take getting hit well. He doesn't commit very well. He just hasn't put it all together. He's very inexperienced, and it shows. He went all 5 rounds, so it's a good learning experience type fight for him. But yeah, Rashad Evans was definitely too much too soon for the guy. There's some rookie things he did too. It was just he clinched and he just drops his knees really far away to try and complete a takedown. His punches just aren't. There's not a lot of pep in his strikes. I like the guy a lot, and I think he can improve a lot. But yeah, right now he definitely needs to re-examine what he's doing. I think his footwork makes him slip a lot too, to be perfectly honest. I don't think it's quite there. But yeah, I think he'll get better nonetheless. So yeah, we'll see about that. Okay, next fight after that, very controversial here as Chael Sonnen beat Michael the Count Bisping by unanimous decision. I actually feel that Bisping won the fight. I thought he won round 1 and 2. Chael didn't mount. He got the takedown, but didn't mount any offense from there. And I think it's just really coming down to the whole idea of like, oh, he got a takedown, therefore he's getting point. And the idea, I mean, like, there were times he'd take him down and get no offense. I mean, just zero, not a punch. I think Bisping would push him against the cage a lot, kind of dirty box with him there. I think he was just the busier fighter on the feet. So I thought he had rounds 1 and 2, to be perfectly honest. It's not too controversial. I mean, I see the argument for Sonnen. I don't see how he got the second round, though. I don't think 30-27. 29-28. It's fair. I'm not saying that it's not like a huge robbery or anything. It's just that, I think Bisping got around there. I was saying throughout the fight too, it's like if Anderson fights Sonnen like Bisping's fighting him, Anderson's gonna wreck him. But the problem is with Bisping is that his takedown defense is pretty good. His defensive grappling's always been good, and his ability to get back to his feet's really good. But what I really liked is his movement. He kept moving, so it made it really hard for Sonnen to get takedowns because he kept moving and like side to side. I can only hope that Anderson is a little more mobile when he fights Sonnen. Doesn't go in straight lines and whatnot. It's one of those performances where like you're not totally impressed with Sonnen here. It's not like I came out of this fight thinking, oh man, dang, Sonnen's really gonna handle Anderson. Stylistically though, Sonnen honestly is a tough stylistic matchup for Anderson. Sonnen's striking like sloppy. I mean, the guy just throws like haymakers and just shoots for that takedown. It's not very clean at all. He just really throws it out there. Very aggressive. But I'm hoping that during the rematch that Anderson in 5 rounds could do a little more on the feet than he did last time. Bisping, man, he looked really good. I was really impressed with him. It's really hard to see the guy as like an elite fighter, and the fact of the matter is his resume is pretty bad because he lost to Sonnen, Henderson, Vanderlei, and Evans. He's never beaten. He doesn't have that like top 10 win under his belt. And, a lot of guys he's fought are more like mid-tier type guys. He does really well against them, though. But, he went up against a top guy in Chael Sonnen and did really well and arguably won the fight, So, it says a lot about Bisping. I was impressed with his performance. I'm not a huge fan of the guy or anything like that. But, I was impressed. I liked what I saw from the guy. He's definitely always working, and that really helps him a lot. Okay, next fight after that, Chris Weidman beat Damian Maia. I think Dana White actually tweeted that it was a unanimous decision, but the judges called it a split decision. Maia looked really bad. He gassed. Weidman looked really bad. I'm going to be honest here. I kind of thought that Maia got the first 2 rounds. To be perfectly honest, I thought that Maia won the fight, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought he was a little busier in the first 2 rounds and would connect just a little more than Weidman, in my opinion. I'm not saying it's a robbery. I see the argument for Weidman for sure. And it was really close too. Anyway, so I'm not saying like like I said, I'm not saying it's a robbery by any stretch. Personally, I thought that Maia won the fight 2 rounds. Definitely lost the 3rd round. His conditioning's really bad. His boxing's just kind of okay. I like that when Weidman would take it to the ground, that Maia would just get like an underhook and just get back up so easily. I mean, it's just so smooth. It was just one of those things where you get to see it just a little. I really wish more fighters would really fish for underhooks and to try and escape positions and whatnot. But yeah, this was a really good win for Weidman. It didn't make him look good though. I mean, granted, he took the fight on 11 days' notice, so but he's a prospect to look out for. He beat a top fighter in Maia. Curious to see where he's going to go next. Okay, next fight after that, Evan Dunham beat Nik Lentz by doctor stoppage in pretty much in between the 2nd and 3rd round. Great fight, got fight tonight. Nik Lentz, I think he's really trying to show that he's not a boring fighter. And, he was really throwing, going for takedowns. It was good stuff. I liked what I saw. He goes for a lot of kicks, too. And with the Chael Olivia fight, I think Lentz is really, turning it around and trying to be a more exciting fighter. Dunham looks, really good. He has a really good, 1-2. It's kind of tall for the weight class. He's wrestling, and he managed to take down Lentz. He's going for some guillotines, if I'm not mistaken, or front chokes at least. He's definitely a guy that can definitely make it back to the top of the division. He lost it pretty badly to Melvin Gillard, but he's still a very good and very well-rounded fighter too. So that's the thing. It's a good one for Dunham. It was really good, man. He really busted his eye too, really bad. I think it's like some elbows or something that did that. Yeah. As far as who he fights next, Dunham. I know that Cerrone is gonna. Why did I say Cerrone? Diaz is gonna fight Jim Miller. Actually, Dunham Cerrone doesn't sound too bad. Now that I think about it. Who else is coming off? Good one. Barboza Dunham, maybe? Be pretty interesting. There's definitely fights for him. For sure. But yeah, I like what he saw. He's definitely a guy that can get back to the top 10. Lentz, I think this is 2 losses in a row now. Lost to Bocek and now to Dunham. I wonder if he's going to stay in the UFC or not, because the lightweight division, is really deep. So it's really tough to say where he goes from here. Okay, next fight after that, Mike Russo beat John Olov Inamo by a unanimous decision. Very interesting strategy of Russo to just go plug forward, attack, on the feet, and just go aggressively for takedowns. It worked, He really more or less shut down Inamo's game, except at the end of the 1st round where he got swept and mounted. Inamo might get cut after this. With Russo, man, he's on a pretty good win streak right now. I think it's 4-fight win streak in the UFC, or maybe even 5-fight win streak. Mark Hunt is now going to get Czech Congo next over a 2-fight win streak, and Congo's the gatekeeper of the division. I got to think that Russo something going to get a Roy Nelson, maybe Verdum if Verdum beats Nelson, maybe the winner of Congo versus Hunt. I think he'll get a pretty higher profile fight after this. It wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing fight or anything, but he's on a good win streak. Okay, next fight after that, Cub Swanson beat George Root by TKO. I picked this one wrong. Dave got this one right. I thought that Root would be able to outstrike Swanson, but it's the other way around. Really. Roop's 2 losses in a row, but that Hatsuyoki loss doesn't say. A lot of people thought he won that one. Swanson's in a weird place because it's he beats like mid-tier guys. He loses to some mid-tier. You know, he lost to like Lamas. You know, he beat Rube. He's beat like Semizer. You know, it's like it's really tough to say what happens to this guy. You know what I mean? You can maybe give him like Charles Oliveira or something like that, or maybe you can give him like Jim Hates. Hey, Jim Hates, Cub Swanson. That'd be pretty cool actually. Rube. You know, it's tough to say. I don't know. Loser of Zhang versus Garcia or something like that, even though he's fought Garcia before or something like that. Really tough to say where he goes from here. Okay, next right after that, Chael Oliveira beat Eric Wisely by submission, by calf crushing in the first round. 6 submission here, man. You know, I'm so high on Oliveira, and at 145, you know, I just think, you know, he's going to be a force. He's so young. His skill set's already very well rounded. You know, I mean, the guy is going places. Calf crusher, you know, come on, you know. You know, it's hard to say where you put this guy. You know, do you have him fight a Hades, like another prospect? Give him a more veteran guy like a Mike Thomas Brown. You know, who do you get? You know, it's really tough to say. His skill set's really good. He has a pretty high level skill set for, you know, a guy that's still relatively new to the sport. So, you know, do you give him Lamas? Do you give him Eric Koch? You know, the Korean Zombie? There's a lot of guys for him to fight, and none of them would seem bad. I mean, if you want to give him more mid-tier, you can. If you want to give him someone like higher tier, you know, it makes sense. Like, I'd actually favor Oliveira over, you know, certain guys. Actually, you know, if you have like Poirier versus Oliveira, you know, I'm kind of actually go towards Oliveira myself. You know, if you go there. So, but yeah, good win for him. Wisely, you know, it's tough to say, you know, where he goes. Just bottom of the featherweight division, I guess. Okay, next fight after that, Michael Johnson beat Shane Roller by unanimous decision. Good win for Johnson. You know, his stand-up was good. He shut down a lot of takedowns from Roller and whatnot a couple times. You know, I'm actually high on Johnson too. I think he's still a prospect. I'm looking out for. You know, he has a good combination of wrestling and striking. Roller was a good test too. You know. You know, but the thing with Johnson, he's also lost to, like, Paul Sass and whatnot. So I'd give him more like mid-tier to division. Maybe a Thiago Tavares or a Matt Weidman or something like that. And that's kind of a step up for Johnson, to be honest. With Roller, you know, it's tough to say. I think before this he lost to T.J. Grant, and now he lost to Michael Johnson. So it's tough to say where he goes. You know, Roller versus Escudero or something like that. You know. Okay, next right after that, LeVar Johnson beat Joey Beltran by KO. I picked this one wrong. I thought Beltran does everything better than Johnson, but Johnson, you know, one thing you notice is Johnson seemed more like a heavyweight, whereas Beltran seemed like a bloated light heavyweight. You know, of course, Johnson actually kind of looks like he can cut to 205 to me too, but there's definitely a big size difference here. Beltran's got a good chin, but to get KO'd, man, that says a lot about Johnson's power. He's going to be a very fun fighter, you know. I think Johnson's going to be like the new Beltran, you know. Give him a lot of, like, stand-up guys. Give him Mitrione. Give him Pat Barry, you know, something like that. And finally, Chris Camozzi beat Dustin Jacoby by guillotine choke in the 3rd round. Not much to say. I think Jacoby's going to get cut. I'm not too high on Camozzi. I think he's just like lower to mid-tier, middleweight at best. Can't really say where he's going to go from here. You know, he's lost to guys like Noki, you know, Carmont, you know, so it's tough to say. He's just kind of stuck in like mid-tier, lower-tier purgatory. So that's it for my UFC on Fox 2 post-fight analysis. If you have any comments, just leave them below. That's it for MMA for you. Thank you very much.